Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Ocean's 8. Another sequel in the Ocean's saga, this time with an all-female cast. Now we know how the rebooting situation went for Ghostbusters, but how is it all going to play out when we get a sequel, gender bent? Well, naturally, me being like SJW type me, I didn't have a problem. I was on board with it. For one, the cast is amazing. Pretty much if you put Cate Blanchett in anything, I'm on board and ready to see it. But the full cast looked great. Plus, I don't really see the big deal. So I was excited for Ocean's 8. I thought the trailers looked good, they were sleek, they were fun, and I was ready for this film. And overall, I had a good time with it. So let's go ahead and talk about those positives first. The biggest positive for me is the heist action in general. They really choreographed everything down so well. And a lot of times I actually find it a little bit cheesy and a little bit like, ugh, when we really get into explaining how it all went down and what happened. But I thought they did it in such a creative, cool way that I loved it. And I knew right off the bat we were in for some good heists, because that opening scene with Sandra Bullock when she gets out of jail and enters the real world is amazing. It's so funny, it's so fun, and I thought it was really, really strong. And the heists were all really fun and really just made it an enjoyable, fun movie to watch. I also think our actresses are all really solid in this movie. And they're all given at least one or two moments to shine. Sandra Bullock is fantastic here. Cate Blanchett is fantastic here. But we already knew they would be. Same with Sarah Paulson, and Anne Hathaway is so good. I love the persona she takes on in this film. She's just having a blast with the role, and I was having a blast watching her. Same thing with Helena Bonham Carter. She was just wacky and crazy in a super fun, zany way. And I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. Then we get into Aquafina, who had a couple of really, really good moments in this film. She doesn't have a lot going on, but when she's on screen, she's just magnetic. Rihanna is really good in this movie. I thought this was maybe the best I've ever seen Rihanna. And maybe that is because she wasn't asked to stretch a whole lot, but you work with what you got and you use people for the talents they bring to the table. And that's what happened with Rihanna here. And then Mindy Kaling, same thing. She was very solid for what she was given. The movie obviously looks fantastic too. The costuming is gorgeous. The Met Gala is represented. Obviously, I loved the cameos they plugged in with the Met Gala, but I also loved the fashions they plugged in with the Met Gala. If you're going to center your whole film around a fashion event, you've got to bring the fashions. And I think they did. Though I will say, it doesn't seem like anyone was in the theme that they mentioned. But, when you look at the real Met Gala pictures, about at least half of them aren't in theme either. So, sounds about right to me. But the cinematography was really good. The direction I thought was really solid. And the movie moved along at a really nice pace. It is a little bit long, but I was engaged pretty much throughout. We jump right into action. We're getting the laughs. There are a lot of laughs. It's really fun and funny. And it keeps you entertained from start to finish. So now for the negatives on the film. I do unfortunately have quite a few of these as well. Some nitpicky, some a little bit more serious. We're going to start with the biggest problem, but why it wasn't really that big a problem. So we have one more positive to bounce off of this first negative, and that's the fact that we don't get deep with any of these characters. None of the 8. The closest one that we have a backstory for is obviously Sandra Bullock's character, and it just wasn't fleshed out very well. It didn't have any sort of gravitas. And all the other characters, I mean, they have very shallow backstories. I mean, we don't know really anything outside of their profession when it comes to the other 7 in the heist. And when that really becomes a problem is obviously in the end. One, they keep trying to tie Sandra Bullock to her brother into the old movies, but they try to make it this emotional through line and an emotional connection to the other Ocean's films. It just didn't work for me. It really felt completely hollow, like, I don't even think this was really necessary because it doesn't work. But then we get these montages at the end that I just really thought were cheesy and I didn't really like, and also didn't hold any sort of weight. So they could have just been cut out. But the positive I'm bouncing off of the fact that we didn't really get any sort of development there is the fact that they all had fantastic chemistry. I think all of the 8 women had wonderful chemistry. So you just enjoyed being around them. The friendships all felt real. They felt genuine. The connections felt real. And they were just really enjoyable to be around at all times. So while we didn't get a whole lot of backstory and we didn't get a lot of character development, just being around the characters was fun enough. But my next negative is that third act, in particular James Corden. I don't really know why he was there. It was another supposed tie-in to the past films, but it was a really loose, who cares kind of tie-in. He knew more information than he really should have as an insurance claimant, like an insurance fraud investigator. It was just stupid. And James Corden was just James Corden running around, and it didn't fit in with the film, and I didn't enjoy his character, and I didn't enjoy him in that role either. I also think some of the cuts and fadeaways were really strange. Like, they clearly were going for style, but it didn't work for me. No, I wasn't on board with some of that style that they tried to incorporate in with these really PowerPoint-esque type of cuts and fades. It was strange. So overall, I really did have fun with Ocean's 8. It is shallow. It doesn't have a lot bubbling under the surface. Don't go in expecting this like rich, deep story. And I think you're going to have a really good time with this film. And that's because you're coming in for a film of 8 people pulling off a heist. And that's what you get. 8 people with great chemistry, wonderful charisma, doing what they can with the little or more screen time that they're given and the script that they're given, and making some real dang chemistry out of it, and putting together a really fun and entertaining heist. So if you enjoy heist films, if you've enjoyed the other Ocean's films, and if you've been at all intrigued by the trailers, I say give this a full price ticket. It's definitely a good time. Otherwise, I still think it's worth a rental. I think you'll have more fun than you're anticipating having if you'll just give it a chance. But I don't know that it's necessarily great enough to warrant that theater experience if you're not already ready to wade in those waters. So, that has been my review for Ocean's 8. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Ocean's 8? And what is your favorite Ocean's film to date? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!